Today is March 13th, 2025, and the time is 6:30 p.m. I will now call the regular meeting of the District 191 Board of Education to order. Welcome to those of you in the audience here and those watching online. Director Mickelson, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin tonight's regular board meeting, Dr. Battle would like to share a statement with everyone. Dr. Battle?
Thank you, Chair Word, members of the board, 191 colleagues. It is with mixed emotions that I share my plan to retire as superintendent of District 191 after this school year. The past 6 years have been incredibly rewarding personally and professionally. I have truly loved serving the amazing students and the wonderful families of 191. It has been my honor to work with all of you, my phenomenally talented, dedicated, and caring colleagues. My sincerest gratitude to families who entrusted us with the education of their precious children. I am thankful for the executive leadership team who have helped me lead the district, and to the best boards in service in the community, in the state of Minnesota, and I might say nationally. In some ways, so much has taken place in these 6 years that it's felt like half a career. At the same time, now it feels like the time has gone by in a flash. We've tackled serious challenges and we've made tremendous progress. But all along, we've done it together. I hope you know how much I value you and appreciate the way you welcomed me and supported our work. 191 is truly a special place. I believe it is truly committed to its mission, values, and vision. I'm proud to be a part of that, and I have no doubt that great things will continue to happen here in the future. Lastly, I want to thank my family, my husband Robert, my children Khalil and Dominique, and extended family and friends, especially my sorority sisters and my superintendent colleagues across the state of Minnesota. You have truly supported me in my journey as an educator. Thank you again, 191 colleagues, for all you do. We are 191, and I am always and will forever be your very proud superintendent and truly thankful to the board for this opportunity to serve as superintendent for the last 6 years. Much love, my heart. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Battle. Are there any questions or comments from board members?
I'll say something. Dr. Battle, for the last 6 years, I've often heard you, including just about 30 seconds ago, talk about how you are the very proud superintendent of the Burnsville-Eagan-Savage School District. In fact, it is I who am so very proud to have had you as our superintendent over the years. You've been outstanding. We've been through so much over the last 6 years. And I know there'll be other opportunities for me to say more between now and the end of June. But for tonight, I just want to say thank you and wish you nothing but a long, happy, and healthy retirement.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Director Mickelson?
I'm newer to the board, so my comments are more, as a parent and as a parent of students in the district, and how much I appreciate everything that you've done for our district, for our schools, for faculty, for the administration, for the students, for everyone. My kids have nothing but fabulous things. They just always love to see you when you come into the schools, and they, what they say is just amazing and wonderful. That so often it would be easy to feel intimidated by, it's the big superintendent. I remember that was kind of the superintendent when I was in school, that it was this, nebulous other, and, you are so welcoming and so open, and the students just really feel appreciated and seen by you, which is going to be missed. And so I just want to say thank you. You definitely have made a difference, and enjoy your retirement. It's well earned.
Thank you, Director Mickelson. Okay, I'm getting that look from McKinley. He didn't know. I'm sorry, McKinley.
Director Alt.
Thank you, Chair Werb. Yes, it has been my honor to work with you and to think back on everything, you alluded to it, that we have worked through as a board and as a district. The pandemic that nobody ever had to work through before. And just appreciating, as Director Mickelson said, your genuine caring and connection with our students and our families and our staff. That really is, it's a gift, I think, for the school community, and I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement.
Thank you, Director Alt.
I'm trying to keep my composure for a minute.
As a noob, I will say that even though it's only been a few months that I've gotten to know you personally, it has been a joy, and I really have appreciated your, I feel like you've kind of taken me under your wing a little bit as we've just done some adventures together, and, go Birds. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Director Anderson.
That's right. The footprint you've brought into our community is permanent. It's great. It's vast. Whoever's coming in after you has big shoes to fill. Starting as a board member myself at the same time of you coming on, we have navigated this district through a lot of challenges, through major budget cuts, through school closings, through the pandemic, and you've always led with our students in mind and at the front and center, and then our families, and just your commitment to really diving into being in the community. So like showing up at the schools, getting to know all the students' faces. They know you, they see you, you're in the community and active. And I think, growing up, I don't know if I've ever thought of a superintendent that ever did that. And I'm sure everybody's going to miss tea with Dr. T. and so, we're going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. I've really enjoyed being part of this leadership group and your devotion to also shared leadership with your leadership team.
Thank you, Director Chester.
I think that's everybody. I'm sorry, McKinley.
If I recall correctly, I think my first encounter with Dr. Battle happened in 7th grade. Metcalf was closing down, and I and 2 other equally inexperienced in public speaking students were given the opportunity to speak first at our big public board meeting. It was very nerve-wracking, incredibly nerve-wracking, because we were very young and hadn't done anything like that before. But Dr. Battle was an incredibly welcoming person, and of course we had the school closed down, and then immediately we had COVID right after, and she displayed incredibly strong leadership all throughout that. I haven't gotten as much experience working with you as these people have, coming in here every Thursday for the past whoever knows how long. But it's been very enlightening working with you, and I think everyone here is going to miss the work you do here.
Okay. Thank you, McKinley.
Okay. I'll just add some brief thoughts and comments. First of all, congratulations on your upcoming retirement and on a career well spent on lifting others as a teacher and as a leader in public schools. The work you have done has been instrumental in creating change and shaping many of the students' lives you have touched throughout your tenure. You've made an incredible impact on the 191 community, one that will not soon be forgotten. Okay, I'm going to start crying. I know I've especially valued your collaborative leadership style, always ensuring all voices are heard, especially those people who are going to be most impacted by your decisions. There has been many times over the past 6 years where you have captained our ship. A few of those challenges come to mind: closing schools, adjusting boundaries, a pandemic, expansion of pathways, securing a legislative exemption, passing 2 referendums. There's no doubt that your caring, inclusive, and steadfast approach brought us through it all together. There's no doubt in my mind we're in a better place today, whether it's in terms of programming, finances, or community relations, because of your leadership. So thank you for everything you've done, and again, congratulations. You are a trailblazer.
Oh, thank you, Chairword. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Director Hume.
Second.
Second by Director Chester. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. First on our agenda tonight is to hear a school report from Burnsville Alternative High School, Vista View Elementary School, and our virtual academy, prepared for us by Dr. Chris Belmont, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Angie Pohl, Principal of Vista View Elementary School and Elementary Virtual Academy, and Kelly's not here, right?
Yeah,
That's correct.
Okay. Principal Ron could not be here tonight, but she is being supported by other leaders from her schools. And I will have Dr. Belmont introduce them once everyone comes forward.
Thank you, Chair Werb, Superintendent Battle, members of the board. It's hard to believe this is our final board report for school report. Still processing what just happened. Okay, school report here to the board. So we do have our final 3 schools for the year here, and I think you're going to find it a really excellent presentation tonight. The 5th and final essential element of cultural proficient schools that we're looking at through this 5th and final board report is adapting to diversity. So the leadership around adapting to diversity includes leaders who are seeking to integrate important themes, programs, and goals, as well as using resources that are combined and allocated equitably across their system. The culturally proficient seeking leader works to build capacity of staff from an asset-based lens with the expectations for growth in competence, growth in the areas of competence, commitment, and care. And finally, the culturally proficient seeking school leader adapts to diversity by having a laser-like focus on high expectations and achievement. So hopefully you hear examples like that tonight. Principal Ron was unexpectedly unable to be here tonight, so she called in her A-team here to come in and help support. So with no further ado, to Dr. Pohl.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be able to share about Vista View Elementary and our virtual academy. And I think I want to start by saying our schools are in a great position because of your leadership, Dr. Battle, and because of all of your leadership. And Virtual Academy would not be here without your leadership. So thank you. I'm excited to share all of the wonderful things happening at Vista View Elementary and our Virtual Academy Elementary. So I'll start by sharing about Vista View. So our mission at Vista View is to be a safe, welcoming place to learn where all of our students are valued, challenged, and supported, so that every learner experiences academic and personal growth. And we've worked hard to build systems to make that mission come to life and to achieve that mission. So we've really worked hard in the last 2 years as a part of the PBIS cohort. So our work in positive behavior intervention supports. We've done that training with MDE. And through that training, we've really focused on relationships in our school, consistent language and expectations. I'll play a video so you can see some pictures of our PBIS work. We have assemblies, and Dr. Battle got to come to one of our assemblies and experience the fun and the recognizing of our students. And just lots of opportunities to build that positive climate and culture in our school. And we have. I've noticed it, our teachers have noticed it, and our staff at families have noticed it. In fact, our behavior referrals through our PBIS work have gone down by 48%. And you'll hear positive comments over and over again from students, staff, and families. We regularly hold family events, so monthly family events where we have 50% or more of attendance of our families, huge turnouts for movie nights and picnics and our curriculum night. And our families, we had a chance to survey them, and 100% of our families agree that they feel welcome at Vista View and they feel like Vista View is a safe learning environment. We've also incorporated buddy classrooms this year. So in our buddy classrooms, we pair an older grade with a younger grade, and they get together and do activities. We had author visits, and they got together to listen to the author and read the book together with the author. So our older students get to be leaders and role models, and our younger students get to have that positive connection to older students in the school. And they get to be teachers too. The younger ones get to model war behavior for the older ones too. We've also used some of our funds this year to support having full-time specialists at Vista View, and that's a change for us. As a smaller school, we are in the past always sharing specialist teachers between buildings, and our specialist teachers didn't always feel a strong connection to our building. So last year, the year before, we had 3 different music teachers, 3 different art teachers, 2 DLS teachers, and every year it was different teachers. This year, we were able to use some title funds to have 1 art teacher, 1 music teacher, 1 digital learning specialist, and all of our kids have a very similar experience as they go to those specialist classes. They feel connected to their teachers. They love their Spark experiences and Pathway experiences. And when you ask about their favorite part of the day, many of them will talk about that specialist experience, which wasn't always the case before. So those are some positive things that we've done to work on our culture and climate. I'm very proud of the work that our Vista View staff is doing. In addition to focusing on systems to enhance our climate and culture, we also have that strong focus on literacy, like you've heard from all of our elementary schools, I think. So with the implementation of our new foundational literacy instruction and curriculum across all of the grade levels, our learning that's happening through that science of reading carry-all training, we're seeing an impact in instruction in classrooms. We're seeing our collaborative teams of teachers really working together to focus in on reading growth for all students. And they're working together closely with our learning specialists and our Minnesota Reading Corps tutors, all coming together to support our students. Support them at grade level, support those who are above and make sure they have the enrichment they need, and then support those that are below grade level in boosting their skills and getting them up to grade level. So I think when you come into our school, you'll see strong core instruction across our classrooms, and we've made a lot of growth and progress in our reading, and if we continue on the same trajectory, we will meet or exceed our reading goal this year. So we're very excited about that. I also want to share an example of how we're fostering a caring community and building school spirit. So one of the advantages of having consistent specialists in our school is that they are really tied to our school. So our music teacher, she goes by Miss Eggs, it's Miss Alyssa Eggers-Gless. She is our student council sponsor. She helps come up with other fun clubs and activities for kids, and she wrote a school song for us. And all of our kids in their music classes learned the school song, and so every assembly we come together, they sing it proudly. They sang the song to be featured on our morning announcements every morning. They're very proud of this school song. And you just, when you hear the song, you feel like school spirit and excitement. So I want to end by sharing our school song with you all. This is a third grade class, and if they knew they were being featured tonight, they'd be very proud of that, too. And it's pretty funny because our fifth graders are a little bit embarrassed about singing the school song, but then they get really into it when it's timed, like during assemblies, and they love seeing themselves singing it on the announcements, too. So I hope you can feel through my short presentation, through that video, just the positive climate and culture we've created in the school. Our kids, our staff, our families love being there, and we have a lot to celebrate at Vista View. I will switch gears and share. Oh, we can listen to that again, too. I'll switch gears and share about our virtual academy. I'm privileged to also be the principal for our virtual academy K-5. And as you all know, our virtual academy has been around for several years now, but I still think people don't really know what the student experience is like. So I want you to be able to hear tonight a little bit about the student experience at elementary, middle school, and high school, and get better acquainted with what Virtual Academy means. Because what we are doing in Virtual Academy is really special, and it's different than all of our neighboring Virtual Academies. So I want you to be able to speak to it and highlight all the great things that are happening too. So for Virtual Academy K through 5, we have students in multi-age classrooms. Our kids are clustered together, K1 together, 2-3 together, and then grades 4 and 5 together. In elementary and in middle school, we have live meetings each day. So kids are face-to-face with their teachers and with other students, and there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration and discussion. Our kids, you can see that schedule that's on the slide. They start their day with morning meeting. They go to their math. Then they have their phonics instruction. They have small group reading, their specialists. They have a chance for lunch and recess online. In the afternoon, they have literacy and content instruction, and then a lot of opportunities for small group and win time to get what they need to support their reading and their academics. Our curriculum matches what's happening in person. We use the same curriculum as a foundation, and our teachers do a lot of work to adapt and change it to fit that online environment and to make sure that our kids are really engaged. And much like in our in-person elementaries, our teachers have a strong focus on literacy with the new curriculum and professional development. And we make sure that we are supporting our students who are not at grade level in reading through differentiated small groups, through, we also have a learning specialist, we have an educational assistant that meets with small groups, so a lot of opportunities. And Virtual Academy presents us the opportunity to be able to do those multi-age groupings, and so we can have fifth graders and third graders in a pull-out group together to get the support they need. So we're able to be flexible with the schedule and the groupings to make sure every student is getting what they need. And then our teachers also engage in regular reciprocal communication with families. I mean, and that makes sense, right? We're in the kids' homes every day, and there is a lot of connection between teachers and families. I want to also highlight and be able to share with you what Virtual Academy teaching and the student experience looks like. So I'll show you a couple video clips of virtual learning in elementary, and this is our fabulous 2nd and 3rd grade teacher, Karenza Cooper. We'll see a little clip of her doing some of the Heggerty instruction, and you can see what that looks like virtually, and then she'll do a little bit of a science lesson. And I'll let you know that about every month we have materials pickup or distribution. So we send home things like our science materials for labs or for experiments. We send home books. We send home whiteboards and all of the materials they need to do hands-on learning at home. So let's just check out a little bit of teaching from Karenza Cooper.
So let's look at this word check out. What 2 words do you hear in the word check out, Noelle?
Check and act.
And when we put them together, we say check out. Let's see if we can use this word check out in a sentence. Does anybody know what check out, how we could use that in a sentence? How could we use that in a sentence? Zelda, do you know how to use the word checkout in a sentence?
I work at the checkout station. I don't know.
At the checkout station, like maybe at the grocery store?
Oh,
Yeah? Okay, Mohammed, how about you?
I checked out the new Ben 10 video game. I actually did.
Now we're trying to build a strong tower, and we get to make that tower shorter. We're making it half the size, which is 6 inches long. So in our supply bag, we have all of our materials that we need. So let's take a look at what our friends are making. Wow. Let's see.
I'm trying to make like a little cross, and then I could put like 2 other ones, and I could hold it more.
Hey, Summer, can you share with me what you're doing to try to make yours stronger?
I'm making it taller, and maybe it'll become stronger.
I see that you have things that are going inside of each other. Try pressing on that. Does that make it a little stronger? Yeah, okay. That's cool. So is that how tall it is? Is it as tall as your pencil?
Yeah, so what the thing getting big? Exactly.
What did you make?
Yes.
That thing stacks differently. Oh, Ridwan, how tall is yours right now? How tall is yours? Could you measure it with your ruler for us?
Okay. I'll get back. Okay. Mine is 5 inches.
With almost at that 6 inch. Sullivan, how are you doing? Yeah, is it tricky?
I'm starting off with a very light piece of cardboard to test out, and I'm gonna go onto the whiteboard, and I'm gonna go onto the book.
So that was just a little glimpse into our foundational literacy and our science instruction and the student experience in elementary. I mean, isn't it fun? They are so engaged and interactive. And again, this is unique to our virtual academy. It's different than other districts around us. So we feel very lucky. And our students will also share what they love about 191 Virtual Academy too. And I think you'll hear in their comments them talking about specialists quite a bit too. They have the same specialists that they have in person. So they get very excited about the art projects they're doing, about their PE, working out at home, and so we'll hear a little bit about why they like Virtual Academy.
I like Virtual Academy because the teachers are really nice. And also, you can chat with your teacher in office hours. And you can share Blue-Kit links in recess room, which is fun. And I really like art class.
I like Virtual Academy because it's gonna help me with my life when I grow up. And there's lots of things to do.
Yes, and like what we learn, I love science, I love math, and I love art and writing. That's why I love Virtual Academy. I like Virtual Academy because I'm working on these fun experiments, having lunch breaks, doing specialists. My favorite specialists, I have like a lot. I love music, DLS, gym, art, just like everything, music, every specialist. I think other people should know that Virtual Academy is a safe place to be no matter where you are. Thank you.
I like Virtual Academy because it's very welcoming. Something that I'm proud of accomplishing is math. Virtual Academy made me pretty good at math.
And then from the parents' perspective too.
My family likes PA because it's convenient and we get to spend more time with the kids. In PA, AJ is very interactive with his classmates and helpful. I think people should know that kids learn at their own pace in Virtual Academy.
My family likes Virtual Academy because of the ability for me to be here with my student in Virtual Academy, and I get to be engaged in his learning. It's been very amazing to see. In Virtual Academy, my son has learned to read, he's learned math skills, he's learning his writing, he's learning social skills, he's learning about music and art, and he's all around had a very enjoyable, very, very wonderful experience, and I'd like to thank the staff for that.
So that was just a little bit from the student and family perspective about why they like Virtual Academy. I'm going to turn things over so that you can continue to hear about the experience of Virtual Academy now from middle school and from high school perspective.
Good evening, I'm Pat Mosey. I just have to share, I have invested about 40 years in this district. I know I don't look that old, but in 1984, I started as a substitute teacher. And then we had our family and grew our children, and they graduated from Burnsville High School. As they were going through their elementary years, I was fortunate to do daycare while they were younger, many of the community children that graduated from the school district, and then I decided to come back to teaching when they decided, when they started kindergarten. So I started at Sioux Trail Elementary as a science specialist. I was a science specialist for 20 years. I started there and then transferred over to Hidden Valley because it was closer to home. And then when the science position ended and the middle school started, I jumped over the playground and went to 6th grade at Eagle Ridge, and I taught science and social studies. And then the pandemic hit, and I got the opportunity to work at home. And I really felt fortunate because as a person in my 50s, I wasn't sure what the pandemic was going to do. And so I really enjoyed it. And I had the opportunity to go back in person and still do Virtual Academy from Eagle Ridge, and I loved it. And then as my mom was passing away, I had an opportunity to talk to Kelly and said, you know, I have this opportunity. I'm K1 through 6. I could teach anything. And she offered me the 6th grade position at Virtual Academy. And I feel like it's the best thing for these kids because they're coming from a full-time teacher. Middle school can be overwhelming with having these different teachers and all these classes and electives, and so it's been a great stepping stone. So I've been doing it for the last 2 years, and at first I thought the kids would be bored of me having me all day, but they really enjoy it, and I can go from, a volcano reading in ELA to doing a volcano experiment to doing math, recording information, and so it has been a great opportunity to integrate a lot of things. And so, do I just tap this one? Yeah. Okay. You want to be my control? Or should I just?
I can help.
Okay, I don't want to start her video.
So we're okay.
So through Virtual Academy, this past year, so this is our second year really full-time doing it, but we have win time where interventionists come in. There's ELA and math opportunities. We have an application called ExactPath where we can give enrichment to kids or support them in their growth through math and ELA. There are student support services, our counselor. We have weekly SST meetings where they get together and they talk about all the kids in the program and invest in like helping us as teachers and supporting us out of the school day. There's My Sabers and an EA opportunity, so we have a lot of people that come in and help support our program. School-wide database decision-making and reflection, and we have study groups and social groups. We celebrate student recognitions. We have our Spark Awards. We, like when I was at Eagle Ridge, it was fire, and I think at Hidden Valley it was, I can't remember, it was so many.
Soar
Or something. But we came up with Spark, and so our kids get recognized each month with a Student of the Month. Tomorrow we are taking a field trip, our first Virtual Academy field trip with our middle school students this year. We are going to the Mdewakan Sioux Interpretive Center and going out there and learning some through a guided, we haven't done this one yet. And it's right in our backyard, and I'm like, how convenient. So tomorrow at noon, we're getting together for lunch because they have not met in person all year. And so we're doing that first and getting a meet and greet, and then they're going to go through this integration of Dakota experience and do an art project. And then later in the year, I use the ELC in Savage, and I bring my students over there for like solar suitcase project that I do and outdoor environmental stuff where they get a chance to I do earth science, and so it's like weather testing, and we do water testing, and we build this solar suitcase that we send to Africa, and it's a service project where the kids build this, learn engineering, and then it goes to the school in Africa, and they use it for their power when the sun goes down. And so it's a win-win situation. I've been doing that through Eagle Ridge, and I carried it over to Virtual Academy. Science is my passion, and not seeing kids with, I'm a person that needs to do things. I need to see it by doing it, and not having hands-on equipment has been hard. So this year, I incorporated a science bag, and I went around, my husband was happy to see things get out of my garage. She's like, when you retire, is this all gonna be gone? I go, well, we'll see. But it was a way for kids to have like a graduated cylinder that I've gotten at workshops, or a thermometer, or we did the moon with these cones and a chopstick, and they've gotten like, some things I say go to the store, we need to get like graham crackers and frosting for the plate motions, but they just love the hands-on experience, and so that has been a passion of mine that I've incorporated in Virtual Academy, and if they can't get these supplies, they can still watch and participate, or there might be a video or something along. Future opportunities, increased enrichment and social opportunities. We have family engagement programs and activities that we have, and we follow the pathway classes as well. So I just have, my students did not want to come talk. They were very nervous. They didn't even want to like do a little speech online. And so I was fortunate to have them capture just in ELA what they enjoy about Virtual Academy. And so they wrote little things about their program that they enjoy. And I'll tell you, some of these students could take over my class, honestly. They are so gifted in technology that, if you go back up to the, so Liv is one that I know she's one that if something goes wrong, will jump in and help somebody. She feels that everyone is very kind and respectful. She likes doing the science experiments. She loves doing work and studying with friends and classmates. All the teachers are very helpful and understanding. And she was a very shy person before, but now I'll tell you, she can take over the class. Like, She just raises her hand, volunteers every moment she can. Oh, sorry, what did we do? Okay, next one, Julissa. What she likes about Virtual Academy, her teacher, Mrs. Mosey, of course. She likes how she helps everyone in class and takes her time helping us. She's talking about me. And then she helped, it helped her to come out of her comfort zone. She was in Virtual Academy, tried an in-person school in Hastings and came back. And she just felt the Virtual Academy was a safe place for her, and that she knows that she doesn't have to worry about getting up in the morning, getting to the bus and all that. And so working from home is really fortunate for her. Kendrick, how kind everyone is. Teacher's funny and good at teaching. I do entertain them sometimes. I do have a lot of stories and experiences over the years that I've been fortunate to share. He likes that his classmates are very helpful. He's able to learn at his own pace. Things aren't too hard for him, that he can be home with his family, and that he feels very safe. Hudafi was original transfer from Nicollet, and so being in the district has helped them to jump right into something. He was fortunate to come right in our science unit, and that he doesn't have to leave his house, and that his teacher's very nice. These kids, I did not prep this. Ibdi is one that loves anime, and so you can tell in her project that she just really enjoys class and is very artistic. So all of their passions come out. Moses is a ML student that gets services from another teacher that comes in during the day, so I'm fortunate to have an ML teacher that will come in and help him, and so he enjoys working with his class. Matthias is a student that's special ed, and he feels very comfortable and safe, that he has an opportunity to work at his own pace. Ahmed loves working with his students and is very respectful, and he's one that will jump and volunteer at any moment he can. Darius is very shy, and I know that I have to give him more wait time, but he is one that really, I don't know if he ever leaves his house, which is really sad. I try and get them to go outside and do things, but he is so smart and so reliable, but he just needs that safe place from home. And then, okay, yep, and then Martavius. And then lastly, I just wanted to share that Dr. Battle came to I Love to Read Month, and we thoroughly enjoyed interviewing her. And she had an opportunity to read one of our favorite books, and the students got a chance to, talk to her about things that why she was in the job she is and where everything came from. And then lastly, what we do every Friday, if you go down to the last one, me being a fitness person, I incorporate my advisory class. We have Friday fitness. And so I'm outside, I live on Prior Lake. Even though my children, we lived in Prior Lake, I open enrolled and kept them in Burnsville because of my teaching career. And so every Friday I get out there, and I'm running every morning, but they take exercises with me, and we do this Friday fitness, and they get a chance to pick exercises, and we go through just getting them going for the last day of the week. So that's a little bit about Virtual Academy. We're all asynchronous classes. All my core classes we have elective teachers that are asynchronous that I am very fortunate to have a connection with. So at the end of the day, I always remind my kids to go check out their teachers, and as a career and ending this, for me, it's been a great experience, and I just hope it continues. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mosey. Someone's come up to chat about high school quick. Mm-hmm. Be in the middle since you're sticking around. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Welcome, teachers.
I'm Amy Hill. I'm at both BAS and the Virtual Academy. I've been in the district for quite a few years, and I have to say I was in Pat Mosey's class earlier this week, hanging out with the sixth graders, and I had the best time ever, and it was so cool to see the relational capacity that she's built online, and they saved me at least 2 hours because they fixed my computer for me.
I'm Elizabeth Eiler, and I am the high school special education teacher in Virtual Academy. I've previously worked at the high school, and then I also worked at Hidden Valley when I first started with the district in the neurobiological focus program there. So now, thank goodness, we're full-time Virtual Academy, and it's been really good, although we need more, because my caseload is big. So our high school virtual academy is fully asynchronous. So we don't have any live classes whatsoever for our students. That allows our students to learn at their own pace, and at times that work for their schedules. You know, some kids, they do a lot of work at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing. And a lot of them have responsibilities, and it just plays to their strengths, you know, so they can do what they're ready for when they're ready for it. This year, we have added an interventionist at the high school level, and the interventionist sets up Google Meet sessions with students, advocates for students with other teachers, and provides asynchronous support as well. And this has enhanced our existing support through our teachers' regular office hours, appointments, and also we have a daily resource room that's staffed by the full-time high school teachers. The students can just drop in with no appointment, because we found that potentially making an appointment was a barrier for students, so we have drop-in availability, which is really nice. We also added a full-time VA counselor this year. Last year we had a part-time, and that was great, but wow, Robin is amazing. She works with high school students on graduation planning, post-secondary planning, student scheduling, credit recovery, organizational, and social emotional learning, and she comes to every IEP meeting. It's amazing. And we also added a high school advisory for all students to ensure that they have consistent community and staff connection to get in information and opportunities for student growth. And then,
So celebrations, we've started incorporating PBIS, really focusing on it this year, and especially the celebrations. So we have, you know, your honor roll, A and B, at the end of the semester, but the biggest thing is we've really incorporated Student of the Month, 6 through 12, and these are students that get nominated by both our middle school and high school CT. They get a certificate mailed home. They get an email about what their teachers said of why they deserve the award. And it's more beyond academics. It's like, how have they grown as an individual? So it looks at kind of the whole student and not just the grades. Because sometimes these students have, like at any setting, have a lot of barriers to overcome for their age. And so it's great to celebrate their achievements. Course attainment rate has increased. Our staff is very experienced. We've all been in the district a long time, and I think could be like a perception that, oh, virtual academy, you know, you get to work at home sometimes, but really the biggest thing is everyone has a vast amount of experience, and they're very passionate about making this the most positive educational opportunity for our virtual academy students. And so to work with the CT that all has that same mindset every day is really just created this positive team atmosphere. That's been really cool to see. Curriculum development, which is a passion of mine, with BHS and BOZ. One thing that's come out of this is the need to align secondary sites curriculum to make sure that as students may go in and out from one site to the other, that they're all getting the exact same curriculum. It may be delivered in different ways, but the standards are still the same. So we've done a lot of that work this year, and this is an extra bullet point that Kelly said I could add. But I'm the AVID site coordinator for the middle school, high school VA, and then have been for BOZ. That's a great site as well for many years. And we don't really focus on the elective so much, but on Tier 1 instruction and rigor for all. We work really hard on presenting curriculum development and instructional strategies to teachers. They're very passionate about AVID and making sure our students are future ready. And so I feel very blessed to be in that role.
And by the way, our credit attainment, it's gone up like 10% the previous, from 22-23, it was 10% higher than in 23-24, and now we're at this semester 9% higher than last year.
Yeah.
So we're earning 73% of our attempted credits, which is huge because our population is not always the most engaged in school.
I think part of that too is like our team, we don't let anybody fall behind.
Yeah.
And so because we work closely with one another, we can catch students before they fall. And sometimes, you know, teenagers, like I said, have a lot going on, or they just need a little nudge.
So for the future, we'd like to broaden the supplemental classes taken by BHS students. We're seeing more and more of that, and we think that's a great way to grow the virtual academy. We also want to increase the capacity for enrollment. We've had waiting lists this year, so it would be really nice to have some flexibility to allow for growth, because I think we have a good thing to invest in. And looking into investigating possible support for students outside of regular school hours. You know, maybe we could flex our time and have more evening office hours, things like that would be, you know, but that's contract, you know, who knows how that's all going to work. But just to make it better for our students. And then if you want to head to the next slide, we did a panel discussion with 2 of our high school students who were just amazing. And sadly, you're only going to see a little less than half of their responses because of time. But it's just, I think you're going to agree that they're incredible.
My name is Jasmine. I am 15. I am in 10th grade.
My name is Junior Sanchez. I'm a senior. It was mainly just because at first it was mainly because it worked for a long time, and it just felt natural to me as the years progressed, especially with COVID and everything. But afterwards COVID, what helped me really in Virtual Academy was because of my little sister that I needed to take care of, so that my parents didn't have to worry about getting a babysitter or anyone else.
I thought that it would be the best fit for me because there was a lot of distractions in in-person school, and I chose it so that I could focus on me and my homework without lots of noises. I would say it's been a really good experience. I have met a lot of people, and I have been able to connect with teachers, and it has been a good experience for me.
For me personally, I stay motivated, and it's pretty easy. I just get my work done. But I feel like that question can really depend on every student, because every student has a different set of motivational skills. Just thankful that mine are really high, and that I just tell myself, get the work done, and then you can do whatever else.
I will usually start at 8 in the morning, and I will go class by class, and I will book office hours if I need to, and I tend to finish around 1:30 on a Thursday.
I would say that these past few weeks been like very abnormal and like very chaotic because of me starting college classes a little bit early, but I think it's just basically me getting all my high school senior classes done on Monday, just getting all the work for that week done, and if there's any like kind of a little bit extra work to do, I just finish on Tuesday, and then the rest of the week I just finish on my 2 college classes, and then basically make sure I get that conducted and any other responsibilities. But just basically make sure that I pace breaks throughout from my mental mind to just get at ease and not stress or get overwhelmed by the workload.
It allows me to have flexibility with my schedule. So when it comes to babysitting, I can work early in the day if I need to, and if they need extra help, I can bring my computer, or I can do the school later in the evening. It allows me to get stuff done around the house during the school day.
It's quite amazing. It has helped me a lot to get a lot of work done early, and then manage to get my other responsibilities done, especially since a lot of factors in school settings is that, there's lunch time, and then there's times where you gotta go move around to classes, and then there's attendance, and then there's those kind of little gaps where you kind of gotta walk at the same pace as other students, but since you're walking at your own pace, you can work ahead, and you don't have to kind of stick at one little pace, and basically kind of work through that, but you can go ahead if you're fast enough. A lot. That's the best thing I can ever say, a lot. Specifically, Mr. Parkson, he has helped me a lot. He has helped me a lot on scholarships, a lot with college essays, a lot with just routine kind of checkups. And Mrs. Hill, of course, has helped me a lot with her own classwork and other dilemmas, and has helped me a lot with even my college class of psychology. So I have definitely received a lot of support. I have always been more confident to always ask for help and always go to my teachers, just kind of every single day. It's like kind of a routine.
I have received a lot of help. I book office hours a lot. I like to use office hours as much as I can. They always help me with the work and they explain topics I'm confused on. I will join the Google Meet with her and we will decide what class we want to work on at the time. I will share my screen with her and I will open the assignment and we will read over it together. It will help me if I don't know how to word something.
I feel like that can just be narrowed down to do two things, which is kind of just time management and like self-motivation. I feel like since in school settings you're kind of already motivated by a teacher or outside source to get the work done, but I guess you are in virtual academy, there's no one really to motivate you.
I think definitely time management for sure, and confidence to ask for help, because when I was in person, I definitely struggled asking for help because it was something I was nervous to do, but when I joined Virtual Academy, I realized that it was easy and you had the resources that you needed. My future goals is to be a CNA. So I think that Virtual Academy can help me with that because it's given me communication skills, it's given me the ability to reach out for help and problem solve when things aren't working. I can problem solve them myself.
Well, I'm already a senior in high school, so I guess I'm in that narrow kind of road, and for me it's just that as I kind of progress through Virtual Academy, I have the confidence to meet with many teachers to ask for help, and that has led me to develop many skills and communication skills, which can help me a lot in the field that I'm hopefully going for, which is psychology, to probably eventually become a counselor.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Ms. Eiler. Ms. Hill mentioned that we have 3 high schools in 191. We have our comprehensive 912 high school, we have our 191 Virtual Academy high school, and then we have our Burnsville Alternative High School. So you'll hear from Boz to wrap up the.
Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Norton, Dean of Students at Burnsville Alternative High School. I'll start off with our 2024-2025 enhancements. Student leadership group, obviously led by students. They go do activities, also announcements and theme weekly spirit weeks. Increased post-secondary visits, collaborative team focus, trauma-informed instruction, avid multilingual learners. Also student support, we have a nurse. We have an LDAC, which is our drug and alcohol counselor. She'll talk to students that are facing addiction, and we also have an interventionist. He advocates for students and also help that students that are struggling with math. Last point is curriculum work with BHS and VA.
My name is Amy Kirchner. I was a teacher at BAS for 21 years, and the last 2 years I've spent as a continuous improvement coach at both the high school, well, all three, the high school, VA, and BAS. And so I'm lucky to still be part of it. There's a lot to celebrate there at BAS. Since 2019, well, in around 2019, credit attainment was about 50%. We have increased that to 73.5 so far this year, which again is a huge increase for considering kids who we're also trying to motivate and encourage. We have had actually a handful of students this year get caught up on credits and return to the high school so that they can finish out their, especially their seniors want to finish out their senior year at the high school. We also have students that are continuing to take pathway classes. So they spend most of the day at BAS, but they'll go over for a period or two to BHS in order to take some of the classes that we can't offer at BAS, like the culinary school, the culinary program, music classes, business classes, and then some other higher math classes. And I think a big win is that we do our own kind of student survey, and the results there showed that students feel safe at BAS and each have a trusted adult that they can count on when they are at school.
Good evening. My name is Angela Morris, and I'm a special education teacher at the Burnsville Alternative High School. And I think this is about year 25 for me, so I've been here a while. Some future opportunities that we're looking forward to growing is to continue our family engagement. And then we are lucky enough to start a mentorship program, hopefully next quarter starting. And Mr. Norton kind of helped lead that pathway. And in fact, it is a former graduate of Burnsville Alternative High School who will be leading this mentorship program. And then we are always looking for ways to increase community partnerships. And then I think we have a little quick video of BAS students demonstrating core values. Some of our photos include post-secondary school visits, school events that we've had, various field trips, the future fair that we hosted this week at our school, different just school spirit, PBIS incentives, and then various student projects. And even though we were last, we just tried to be quick because I know time is running short. Yes. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. You all can stay up here for the questions, comments, and invite Dr. Poldo. So back to you, Chair. That concludes our report.
Are there any comments or questions from board members? Director Alt.
Thank you. Thank you all for the presentation. I particularly appreciate the inclusion of the students, even though they're not here in person. Having their images and their voices, it just, it really helps to fill out the information that you're presenting tonight. So thank you for that. I guess just a couple of comments. It's great to hear that Virtual Academy is growing. That's wonderful. And I appreciate everything that the staff is doing to help with that. Yahir was so eloquent in just elaborating and illustrating that he really is, and many of the students, by representation, are self-sufficient, they're independent, and as someone who works from home myself, this is kind of where some of the workforce is and remains, and that's really, that agency is so important for our students to be able to be exposed to that now. And then just two comments that just really stuck with me. Each student at BOZ has one trusted adult. I love that. We used to talk about it years ago, about how important it is for each student to have a trusted adult, and to hear that tonight, it was really wonderful. And then also, not letting anyone fall behind. That's another key point that I really appreciate those examples, so thank you.
I was going to share real quickly here. I usually get an email from him every Friday evening at about 8 o'clock asking for the next week's work already. Pretty much on my spot. But he has shared, and it wasn't in the video, but he would not have the opportunity probably to go to college if it wasn't for our district and the alternate having a different option because of the responsibility of having to help his family out with childcare. And so it completely will change his future.
Anyone else? So I would also like to say thank you very much for coming and presenting. It's always says so much about our district and the dedication that you guys have to our students and all the tireless efforts that you make to make sure that all of our students are getting everything they need. Dr. Pohl, I just have a few things I'd like to say about your Vista View students. And I always love when there's always a focus on literacy and you tell us how much that's working and the improvements you're seeing. I think that's the big thing I'm noticing every time we hear from all of our buildings is the improvements. And I think that's exciting because I think we just heard so much about the loss of that during COVID, and I feel like we're still catching up. So just hearing about the improvements and the things that we're doing in elementary to help our students is very encouraging. I really like your buddy classes. I think that's very unique. And I just know when my daughter was in elementary, they would just go like every once in a while, like to the kindergarten. So is it like a whole class that buddies up? It's like a whole class that buddies up with another class?
Yep, every class is connected to another class. And
Okay.
so it's regular visits and time together. Yes, and every student has an opportunity to be a leader, and every student has an opportunity to have a buddy. So.
Okay. Is it like a once a week thing, or how often do they get to see their
Teachers really
buddies?
coordinate it themselves, the classes that are paired up, and I'm not telling them what to do. They get to decide what works for them. So some classes it's more often than others, and it's weekly. Some classes it's every month.
Okay, all right. Very cool. And I have to say, I honestly don't remember getting as much detail as we have tonight on our virtual academies. I feel like I would like to hear about this more often. It's just very enlightening. I really don't think since we had the pandemic that I really realized all the work that goes on with our virtual academy. And I think we need to like put that out there more. So everyone in the community is aware of it. I had some questions. I was thinking about this. Like, do you see, like improvements behaviorally, like the things that you wouldn't see in the class, like things are better, that you wouldn't see, like, you see them in the classroom, but you don't see them virtually?
So, meaning like some of the social, behavioral, emotional issues?
Just people, like kids who would maybe act out in class,
Yes.
but they don't because they're virtual.
So, students come to virtual for a wide range of reasons, just like our BOSS program. And we do have students that have really struggled emotionally, and that has either led to suspensions or attendance issues or not being in the hallway. And for whatever reason, they meet with maybe their teachers and their family, or their family suggests, let's try this and see how it goes. But we have a number of students that I've learned this year through fall and spring conferences. They go from not getting credits at the high school to being straight A's in virtual. And I think you guys...
Yeah, one of my students on my caseload is like that. He couldn't stay in a classroom. He was constantly in the halls, not earning any credits, all A's and B's.
And I think part of that is like, just like Boz, like you have to be close-knit and work as a team to help support these kids. And even though the high school is asynchronous, one of my reservations when Kelly and I talked about me taking on this role was, and I've shared this with Dr. Battle recently, was would I lose those classroom relationships? And I feel like I've gained more. Like these are my kids that are emailing me on the weekend that I have weekly lunch dates with virtually, and that I have gotten to know very closely, and as everybody here has. And I think that's a huge part too, is like we said before, nobody's going to fall behind, and they have an opportunity to shine without some of those distractions.
So would you say that that's in some ways, it's kind of like an intervention too? Because then you can say, yes, we recognize this kid is struggling, maybe that virtual is the better fit for that student.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. All right. I very much appreciate saying that, so. Okay. I had another question. I think I lost it. Okay, so the asynchronous for the high school, so do they ever come together and meet online?
Mainly it's asynchronous, but we do provide some opportunities, and that's one of our goals next year, is providing opportunities for students to come together. Mr. Thompson and I, with the help of Ms. Eiler and her connections, had the mayor of Apple Valley come and meet with our government students for a Q&A for an hour last semester. And then I know Landon, with your acting class and different things you do, it's a way for kids to collaborate. And so mostly it's asynchronous.
Yes.
But kids do have the opportunity once in a while, and that's a growth area for us.
Right, that's what I was wondering, is where's the interaction with the other students? Yeah. Okay. And then for the BOZ, the mentorship program, I just wanted to hear a little bit more about that.
I might turn that over to Mr. Norton.
Okay.
Yeah, so, right, Angela here said that it's a former student. Actually, I graduated with him at Burnsville. Yep. I'm a former Burnsville grad as well. And him and his wife came up with this mentorship program, and he brought it to my attention. And I think that what the mentorship program is pretty much we find a handful of students that we think would benefit from it for the future, and they'll come in and we'll have a set time for the mentors to mentor our students just to talk to them about what their future plans are and help them guide them on their way with their future.
So there'll be not like teachers, or it'll be like people external, like.
External, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like professionals in the community.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, okay. Will there some way to apply to be a mentor? Like, will you publicize it, or?
No, it's just all through the program, the that he has his business. He has his own.
Oh, he is a mentor. He has a mentorship program. Oh, okay. I got it now. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. All right. Well, again, you guys, you do amazing work in our district, and we all appreciate you guys, and thank you very much for coming tonight and presenting.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Next, we will receive a report from McKinley Shannon, one of our substitute student board representatives. Welcome, McKinley. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. First things first, we just came back from a 5-day break for conferences. Our teachers, unfortunately, were not so lucky. They do conferences. But I am hoping that most of our student body had a pretty productive break, and if not, I hope they had good things to hear at conferences. But we got right back into the swing of things once the break was over with our spring activities. First of all, we have our spring sports available for, they're starting up again, available for 7th through 12th graders in no particular order. We have girls softball, girls badminton, golf, lacrosse, and boys volleyball. And for grades 9 through 12, again in no particular order, we have baseball, girls flag football, boys tennis, and track and field. In addition, our theater company is also beginning work on our spring musical, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Shows will be during the 2nd and 3rd weeks of May, and also on February 22nd, we concluded our final performance of our winter show. That was Clue. We had a very wonderful performance, if I may say so myself. And our stage and set was cleaned and cleared out following Monday. Also coming up is the end of quarter 3 on March 21st, so we're all, scrambling to get things in. You know how students are. Events that we've had in the past week and are coming up, actually just today, our Burnsville High School band participated in the South Suburban Conference Festival at Shakopee High School, and 3 of our students received awards for their participation. Our Burnsville speech team will be hosting a sectional tournament at the high school on Thursday, March 20th. And the Burnsville Winter Drumline will be hosting the MPA State Preliminaries at Burnsville High School on Saturday, March 29th. Our affinity groups were also fairly busy. We had the Asian Student Association, hosted a game day on March 12th, where they played Jeopardy and handed out prizes to lucky winners. And our GSA hosted a discussion on March 11th on the subject of Women's History Month. In other news, one of our own, Christian Gamboa, was named by the American Volleyball Coaches Association on the Boys High School All-American Volleyball Watch List for his accomplishments on our boys volleyball team. Very proud of him. But that brings me to the end of my report.
Do board members have any questions or comments? Thank you, McKinley. Now we will receive a report from Dr. Battle, Superintendent.
Thank you, Chair Werb and members of the board. Tonight, I'd like to share 2 items. First, congratulations to Pam Voigt, the coordinator of Brain Power in a Backpack and other volunteer community service projects in our district. Pam has been named a Civic Learning Week All-Star as part of Civic Learning Week, which was this week, March 10th through 14th. Hosted annually by iCivics, this week highlights the importance of civic education in sustaining and strengthening constitutional democracy in the United States. Under Pam's leadership, high school students and community volunteers assemble hunger relief packages through Brain Power, the 191 Community Pantry, and the fresh produce distribution. Pam also organizes and manages Bowls for Brain Power, the annual fundraiser supporting Brain Power in a Backpack, which currently sends food home to more than 750 children each week during the school year. Congratulations to Pam, and thank you for all of your hard work to benefit our community. Second, this week I took part in a video recording where I talked about our district's commitment to AVID and specifically about Eagle Ridge Middle School's work to implement AVID school-wide to benefit all students. For those of you who do not know, AVID is a college prep program that equips students with strategies and skills to prepare for greater academic rigor as they move through their school years and start thinking about college and career preparedness. You may recall that Nicollet Middle School has been an avid demonstration school for many years, and that means it exemplifies high standards of Avid, and staff from other schools will visit to see Avid in action. The video I recorded this week, along with others featuring teachers and leaders at Eagle Ridge, are part of the school's application to become an Avid demonstration school. The process is long, but we should find out officially later this school year. So I want to congratulate and thank the Eagle Ridge staff for their commitment to Avid and to helping our students be future ready. And that concludes my report.
Do board members have any questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Battle. Lastly, we will receive reports from board members. Do any board members wish to share a report? Just a reminder that we have committee and school reports on our agenda at the second meeting in March.
I'll go.
Well, like, which one was it?
Yeah, so just Monday was MSBA and MASA Day on the Hill. And I was there, joined by a few of our fellow directors, Hume, Mickelson, and Anderson, as well as Dr. Battle, along with several other school board members and superintendents from across the state and many other districts. And it was a wonderful day where we were able to hear from both panels from the House and the Senate and their education committees, as well as education finance committees, as well as get to meet with our local legislators. And so we were able to have sit-down time with, our local representatives and senators and share our legislative platform, hear from them and what they want or what they understood. And for those that might not be so closely tied to the bills that are being heard regarding education, some of them are like, just tell me what you want me to support. And so I was like, here it is. Just, say yes. And of course, a lot of it is like preaching to the choir, because we have very supportive legislators in our community, and we thank them for that. And it was just really, I think, a positive experience. I don't know if others who are present wanted to share their experience too.
I mean, I'll add to it. I would agree with everything you said. They were I spent more time, I think, meeting with our legislators than going to the panels. We were kind of doing divide and conquer because of the way because of the availability of some of our representatives. So, and yeah, you said it's not quite tell us which bills, but they want to know the bill number, like not just like what's on our platform,
right?
But if a bill has been introduced, what's the bill number, so that they can go and look at that, because as one of the representatives said, there are literally thousands of bills working their way through the process right now. So to have a specific bill for them to look at is really helpful. So I think that's something for us to keep in mind, and maybe for the legislative committee to keep in mind in the future, is part of that advocacy should also be like, let's be as specific as possible with the bill numbers and kind of be as targeted with that. So, but it was a really good day. The weather, of course, it was gorgeous on Monday, so it was a good day to walk from one end of Capitol Hill to the other several times, because they don't have like all the meetings in one, and then you go to the next building. It's like back and forth. But it was a good day. I'm glad. It was only the second time I've been able to go, and I'm really glad I was able to go this year.
Any other reports? Okay, thank you. We will now move to the business portion of our meeting. We will start by approving the consent agenda. Although board action is required, it is generally unnecessary to hold a discussion on these items. In the event a board member wishes to discuss an item, that item will be moved for separate consideration. Do board members wish to remove any items from the consent items? I would actually like to remove item 1V.A.4, policy 634 from consent this evening, and bring that item up for separate consideration immediately following approval of tonight's consent agenda.
Cell phone.
Cell phone.
Internet, 6:34.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda without item IV.A? Am I saying that right? Is it
4A4.
A4. Moved by, I'm sorry,
So moved?
moved by Director Alt,
Second.
second by Director Hume. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously. Moving on to new business, we will now take up consideration of policy 634, which was just removed from the consent agenda. I wanted to pull this from consent because I realized that we have to approve this policy by March 15th. So my thought is, well, we can approve what we have in place, but I would like to have it then sent back to policy for further review. In further research and discussion with MSBA, sorry, I just got to get to my notes. The school board may choose to set forth generic principles regarding cell phone use under Article, well, we don't have it under we have it under 634, but they have it under 524. We can pull out the cell phone policy under its own policy. We can set for general principles of the cell phone policy, which is what I am proposing, because it needs specificity that actually lays out what the policy is. And then the guidelines for creating rules that students can adhere to are then administered by the staff. And those are created separately and then will come forward to be approved by the board once those have been developed. Does that make sense?
Can I ask just to make sure I'm following?
Yes.
So what's being proposed is that, I mean, the vote is to approve this and then send it back with the idea that this would become two separate policies, one specifically cell phone only, and then the other one, internet and technology.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think to also have more specificity around the expectations.
Yes.
Right.
So, and maybe I should clarify too, because I reviewed some other districts' policies that were based on the model policy of what MSBA put out. And you can spell out what your policy is. You can say, no cell phones during instructional time, okay? And you can put from grades K through 5, you know. It doesn't have to be specific to a building. It could be grades K through 5, bell to bell, no phones. And then as far as how are you going to administer that in the building, that's where the administration sets those guidelines and rules. And then that's not actually in the policy document. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And I like the idea of splitting the cell phone policy to be its own and having it go back to the committee because just for clarity for students and families and staff, this is something that people are going to want to be able to find easily. And I think on second thought, and thank you for bringing this up, Chair Werb, having a separate standalone policy that people can easily find is really considerate for the school community. I would like to suggest in conjunction with this, if the board is in agreement to send it back to send the policy back to committee for review, given that staff has been working on the cell phone policy since January of 2024, it would be appropriate for both the revised policy and the regulations to come forward together so that the board can look at them both, and have it, I would say, no later than May, so that then, again, out of respect for students and staff and families, it'll be ready for the new school year.
I'll just add, having given it some thought, I agree with separating it. I was just looking at this policy. It's on, the cell phone policy is on page 15 or 12 on a 15 or 16 page document. So you're right, it is probably difficult for the average person to find unless they have just the right search terms. So it's not necessarily instinctive if you're looking for the cell phone policy. So I think that's, yeah. So just to be clear, for tonight, we're approving it as written with no changes. And then with the instruction for the policy committee and to go back and review and revise it for the future.
Yes.
In time for the next school year, as Director All was just saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And also want to make clear that, and I'm sure that you're referencing regulations, but those will be in the student handbook.
Yeah, and that could be part of the conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it needs clear guidelines and disciplinary guidelines set forth wherever we call that out.
And actually, that probably, when the student handbook, yeah, that could probably be a separate conversation, whether the handbook, the next time the handbook comes forward, again for next year, that the regulations would be part of that as well.
Okay.
Or a reference to the policy and regulations would suffice so that people can just click on the link.
Yep. Okay. All right. All right. Is there a motion to approve on a second reading basis changes to policy 634?
So moved.
Moved by Director Anderson.
Seconded.
Seconded by Director Mickelson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Up next, we are being asked to adopt a resolution to accept donations. Presenting the resolution this evening will be Superintendent Dr. Battle.
Thank you, Chair Werb, members of the board. Before I present the formal resolution, I wanted to say thank you to the community organizations and partners that support education in our district. I am so grateful for their support and generosity. Included in this quarter's donation report, you will find so many ways our community partners. We've had an outpouring of support for our Brain Power in a Backpack program from individual community members as well as local business and organizations such as Elizabeth Kaufman, Edward Neal, PTO, Joanne Young and Thomas Church, Roxanne Haig, Garrett Sampson, Prince of Peace Church, and Minnesota Valley Electric Cooperative. We continue to have investment in our schools and student school supply needs with donations from Give Minnesota and the Mighty Cause Charitable Foundation, Lori Standifer, Keisha Gaddy, Arnaldo Maya Sanchez, and Ann Sheedy. We also received generous donations toward our Pathways programs, including funding for supplies for a culinary arts program from Hospitality Minnesota Education Foundation, and a couple of car donations to our automotive technology pathways from Mr. Javier Blasquez and Scott Coltes. Finally, we want to thank all those community members who donated to our school lunch program for students in need. It is my recommendation that the Board of Education adopt the resolution to approve and accept these donations to our district in accordance with school board policy and Minnesota statutes and to permit their use as designated by donors.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to accept donations as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Director Chester.
Second.
Second by Director Alt. Is there any discussion? Okay. Having been moved and seconded, this resolution will require a roll call vote. So in just a second, I will ask Sarah to call the roll, and when she calls your name, please respond with either an aye, or if you are in favor of the resolution, or nay if you are opposed. Sarah, will you please make the roll call?
Director Hume?
Aye.
Director Mickelson?
Aye.
Director Alt?
Aye.
Chair Werb?
Aye.
Director Chester?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye. This resolution was declared duly passed and adopted. Next, we are being asked to consider an initial approval of an extended field trip for the National Middle School Chess Tournament in Orlando, Florida on May 8th through the 13th, 2025. Presenting the recommendation this evening will be Dr. Chris Belmont, Assistant Superintendent, and Brian Ribnick, Chess Club Coach and Advisor, and their guests.
Thank you, Chair Werb, Superintendent Battle, members of the board. Only a true chess icon can demonstrate this kind of patience tonight, too, waiting till this moment to share with you about our National Middle School Chess Tournament trip planned pending approval to Orlando, Florida, May 8th through 13th. Aligned with Policy 610, anytime students may miss 3 or more days, we bring to the board for approval. And here to share a little bit more about it is Mr. Brian Ribnick.
Thank you for your time. I currently serve as the chess coordinator of the district through community education and have been working proud to be working with District 191 since 1980. Also want to extend my thanks and appreciation to Dr. Battle for her leadership and what a gift she's been to our kids in our district and our community. And so I'm here to, as was stated, to ask permission to take 22 members of the Nicollet Middle School chess team to Orlando, Florida, May 8th through May 13th for the Super Nationals. It is forecasted to be the biggest chess tournament in the history of the world, with 10,000 kids. We'll be in competition Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we'll be doing some tourist items Monday and returning on Tuesday. The team has worked hard all year, and we always reward them with an opportunity to have a little downtime in the locations we travel to immediately after the event. I've been leading teams to the Nationals through this district every year since 1982, except for the 1 year due to COVID that it was shut down. And we're proud to say that only one program has walked away with more first-place trophies in the history of the country. Some of the benefits is we want to use all that we have learned this year as a type of a final test to our preparation. And we want a chance, an opportunity to put our brain power in action versus some of the finest brains in the whole country with the 10,000 students expected to be there. And the kids get to learn about other parts of the country that probably they've not been to. Every year I take kids who've never been on an airplane before, never seen an ocean. I mean, there's a lot of eye-opening that happens at such an opportunity. And we also enjoy meeting kids from all over the country at this, which can't always be done by just sitting around in Burnsville, right? So I want to take any of your questions.
So thank you, Mr. Ribnick. It's my recommendation the board considers approval and approve an application for the preliminary approval of an extended field trip for Nicollet Middle School Chess Club to participate in the National Middle School Chess Championships in Orlando, Florida, May 8th through 13th. Back to you, Chair.
Is there a motion to make an initial approval of the chess club's extended field trip for the National Middle School Chess Tournament in Orlando?
So moved.
Moved by Director Anderson.
Second.
Second by Director Chester. Is there any discussion? Director Alt.
Thank you, Chair Werb. Not a surprising question. I think I'm pretty consistent. Would you please elaborate on fundraising efforts that have already happened for students and what might be planned before the trip?
Oh, happy to. We've been starting, each year we start our fundraising almost the day we get back from the previous nationals. So we started in June, and we've done car washes and Von Ansen stands and concession stands at chess tournaments and restaurant nights. And we've currently raised $26,000. We expect to hit $30,000 by the time we go. We're currently in our biggest fundraiser of the year, which is a silent auction with $13,000 of of items that have been donated that we are auctioning off currently as we speak. And so this is to help with, as long as I've been in the district, the number of kids in need seems to not be going down. But, and we want to make sure that the opportunity is available for kids whose families can't handle it financially.
Great, thank you very much.
Director Mickelson.
I just want to say that, it's one of the things I've always been really impressed with is the chess program that's in the district. So, in the opportunity to make this kind of trip that, like you were mentioning, can be such an eye-opening and wonderful experience for the kids. And I've just, even though unfortunately my kids never really kind of stuck with chess, but, when they kind of at least were introduced to it in elementary school and on through, I just really have always just been very impressed with the program. So congratulations with everything that you've done and the success you've had, and definitely, fully support everything that you're doing to provide this opportunity.
Thank you for saying
for
that.
the trip. Yeah.
We're all going to talk.
Yes.
Well, I was just sharing with my daughter Violet, who's a sixth grader at Nicollet. If she would have joined the chess club like we've been trying to get her to do, could be doing this in May.
Mr. Ribnick does take referrals.
She's been sought after. And really, please, it's be so great. And and I have paid witness to your fundraising, supporting the beggars at Cub. I'm thrilled that we do have such a strong chess presence and having so many opportunities for our students to enjoy that game and be competitive, and it is really a great skill.
Let Violet know that we're planning to Dallas in 2026, and we'd love to have her.
Okay, we're still pushing.
There's still
seventh grade.
I was just also going to say, I'm a chess mom of a third grader. I'm at every one of these tournaments here at Diamond Head.
Oh, you're
and,
there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm Gideon Pond.
Yeah, they have a great
Pondemonium for everybody. They're an excellent group of kids, and I really appreciate what your guidance does throughout the district, not just at Nicollet. Your guidance of all the chess coaches and other students, and it's changed my little third grader's world, and I'm very appreciative.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anybody else? Okay. Mr. Ribnick, you are truly a gem, and we are lucky to have you. Thank you for sticking with us for all these years and being such a mentor to all of our students who play chess. My daughter received your letter. I wanted her to join. Exactly. She sounded interested, so I think I could push her a little bit more. So I think learning chess is, I have a very fond memory because my dad loved to play chess. He's not with me anymore, so it's sad, but he loved chess. I don't know how to play chess, so I feel very embarrassed about that. So it would be great if she would learn, because then I could play chess against, she could teach me. So I have a question, though. So this is the National Middle School. Do they rank middle school chess teams?
There's a rating.
Okay.
Every player has a rating, and you take the top 4 players from each team and you average those ratings, and that is the team's rating.
Okay.
And so once we get out there and see everybody's faces and we see all their ratings, yes, every team will be ranked. I don't know what they are right now because people are still entering.
Oh, okay. So you won't know that till.
I don't know yet.
I was just curious. Okay.
We're still working on our ratings.
All right. All right. All right. I don't think I have any other questions, but okay. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Our kids will be happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is a work session to discuss several different topics. Before starting this work session, I move that we take a brief recess and return to this agenda item at 8:20. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by myself and seconded by Director Chester. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously. We will return to the dais at 8. Did I say 20?
It's 8:20.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I meant to say 8:25. Can I amend it?
We'll come back.
We can still start at 8:25.
8:25, okay.
About that. Of course, we are going to invest in our pre-K-12 pathways model. Last year, you remember, we added elementary advanced learning specialists. So I really want us to focus on maintaining our programming. And so some of the proposed budget reductions will include the maintaining class sizes, and increasing, but there's also some reductions, but also increasing based on some needs. I do want to share before we get into the formal presentation that, Stacy, was it late at the end of February we got the memo, or early March, that the formula allowance last session, or maybe it was the session before I'm running into, they said they would tie it to inflationary.
Yeah, the last time, 2023.
Right. And so actually, the legislature passed a minimum of 2% and a maximum of 3% increase. So we were notified that the final adjusted allowance will be 2.74. Increase to the formula allowance, making the 2026 formula allowance $7,481. And I think our original assumption was, we thought 2.4 or 2.5. Yep, we'll go through it. But the increase gives us an additional $200,000. So Stacy will go through some of those numbers. Also, we've made some adjustment on other assumptions too. So I just wanted to highlight that when we did get that from the legislature, and just to add a little bit more to Director Chester's and Scott Hume's comments about the legislative session. At this time, we have the governor's proposal, but we have not had a proposal from the House and the Senate. And what we learned from one of the panelists is they don't even have their targets yet, which is really important. So the legislature has deadlines. So I think in 2 weeks, I'm expected to come back with some more information. So I'm hoping there will be some movement. At least we'll have the House and Senate out. So just giving that prelude, we're all waiting. And then the other thing that was shared at that day at the Hill that's weighing on their minds, the uncertainty of the federal funds. So that's another, it is, as Stacy has says, this is all educated guess. Real educated. It's a guess. So there are a lot of unknowns. So that's why I wanted to share my opening remarks. Stacy, you can move ahead to the first slide, and then we'll get to the meat of it. So a little bit about the timeline. I've shared a little bit about what's affecting our budget, the current reality. I mentioned one of the strategies, and then we'll go through the proposed adjustments. This is the first draft, and looking forward to your feedback as well as the community. Define the timeline. We're here in March, so I'm presenting an initial budget. In April and May, we'll have staff and community presentations. I'll give you update. And then by June 12th, I'll bring the fiscal year 26 adopted budget. Before that, we'll have another presentation. Can't remember, it's going to be a work session and then by June 26th, the adopted budget approved, because we are mandated by June 30th, all districts to have board approve their budgets. Next slide, Stacy. I'm going to take over from here,
I don't know.
sir.
Am I ready?
Yeah, you're
all right,
ready.
I will then.
At the bit. Sometimes she says short and succinct. You know,
Okay.
Stacy.
We are building on the same presentation that we have used now for multiple years. You saw this one back at the end of February. So some of these slides I'll go through fairly quickly, and in the sake of time, the ones that have some changes to them, I will spend a little bit more time. Again, our revenue is based upon the number of students. We get that from state, local, and also federal for our revenue. Our projection for next year, we're looking at 7,021 students, K-12. Trending, it'll be pretty close to that, unless we get an unexpected drop or, quite frankly, an unexpected pause. And for over the last 4 years, if you recall, we've either had the pause or we've had the major drop. So we'll see what next year's will bring for us. Restricted revenue, this is like your title, your long-term facility maintenance, technology level levy. Again, the restricted funds have a very narrow corridor of what they can be used for. So anytime we can use that and maximize to free up our general funds in other areas, we will do that. So we take those areas that have restrictions, figure out what could possibly be used in those areas to free up the flexibility for the board with our general funds. Okay. Expenses, again, nearly 80% of all of our expenses are tied to people. This is salary and benefits. That's a pretty consistent number over time. Other expenses then round out for utilities, transportation, technology, and other materials. Again, this is not new. The inflationary increase, the gap continues for schools as far as funding shortages over time. Here's one of the slides where we do call out the difference. Our revenue has increased to 2.74% as far as our assumption. That is based upon the inflationary increase to the formula. At this point in time, we're really not expecting any other increase to the formula. We just don't see that happening at the state this go around. It probably will be tied only to the inflation. For us, that means about $500,000 once it's all done and over with. Also, in our increased expense, our insurance trend line continues to be favorable in the sense of it'll be closer to a 5% increase and not the 7.5% increase that we were anticipating. So both of those numbers, the increased revenue and the reduced expense, are represented on the back side. You won't see a line item for these. This just changes our assumptions, but they do roll into that $2.3 million of adjustments. Okay. Again, our strategies for a structurally sustainable budget, maintaining our current class size parameters. I will call that out. Our class size parameters have, as far as district-wide averages and the formulas that lead into that, have been the same since fiscal year 2018. Okay? The only time that we made any other adjustment was when we used our ESSER funds. And our ESSER funds were used to supplement and to try to prevent lack of, for kids falling backwards. So those areas were targeted for our K through 2, K through 3, 9th grade, and then some middle school areas. So we used those ESSER funds very targeted. Once that money went away, we defaulted back to the same parameters that we've used. We've always had that same underlying initial allocation, and then again, we overlaid it with the ESSER. These were the initial responses when we had our survey to help generate some ideas as we're bringing the list to you. This was open in January and to February. If you'll remember, we discussed 4 different types of scenarios just to give you an idea of what the playing field looked like. At that time, we left that work session with the targeting an 18% unassigned fund balance, possibly reductions around $2.5 million to get to that point. Again, just as far as the process, folks are reviewing the different areas. Really what it comes down to is where can we make reductions with money that isn't being used? Where can we recode something to something that may be restricted? Or how may we be more efficient in another manner? Again, talking about class sizes, so 24.5 has been our average elementary K-5 size now for almost, well, going on to 8 years now, for fiscal years. And what you'll see here is based upon our projected enrollment and the FTEs that are assigned, so the average class size for kindergarten is 19, just under, just a little over. First grade be about 24. Second grade 23, third grade 26, and so forth. You'll see then if you go a little bit further to the right, we have a range. So pretty much at this point, we're staffing all of our classes at or below the minimum portion of our range. The reason that we have a range is because we're not going to add a teacher for one student who may only be with us for a certain amount of time. On any given day at each building, enrollment at the grades constantly fluctuates. So we give ourselves a little bit of flexibility, and that's why you'll see a range between the minimum and the max. Okay? Right now, we're staffed at 23.65, not the 24.5. Some of that is just around the inefficiencies of the sites. That comes back to, I need 2 sections in a building at least, and they may be some pretty small classes. And other buildings that have 3 or 4 sections may be right on that threshold of like our maximum range. So they can vary. Elementary, it's pretty set. You do like the classroom teacher, because the students are with that classroom teacher all day long except for when they go to a specialist. Okay? So that class size is pretty much determined. Secondary is a little bit different. So we have a formula that says, okay, we're going to allocate this many FTEs for this many students for 6 periods or for 5 periods depending on the level, so that the average class size is X. Understanding then that the buildings get additional money with compensatory that lays over the top to reduce class sizes, ML services where students are either pulled out or team teaching is occurring, special ed. So when we're looking at these numbers of 12 students per FTE, that's looking at all instructional. Because what's different at secondary compared to elementary is all of the students in the building are going to a class with a teacher somewhere for each period. So you may have classes of 4 to 10 for special ed or ML, which may offset the higher end in the general classrooms. So that's part of that whole piece. But every student is accounted for as far as the allocations.
And then Stacy, for VA, they're capped at 40. There's a little different.
Virtual.
Virtual.
Yep, we don't go above 40.
Can't go above 40.
Yep. All right. One of the things I will call out here, if you're curious, the FTEs where you're seeing like 0.4, 0.3, 0.3, all of that, that represents your VA because the VA at the elementary level has multi-grades. Okay. So the first thing that we do is we look at right sizing. Right sizing means that if we have fewer students and we still want to maintain the class size, I don't need as many teachers. It's not an increase of instructional load. It just means that if I have a teacher for every 25 students and I have now 100 students fewer, therefore it should translate in a perfect world to be 4 less FTEs. Okay. So we are looking at a reduction of about 8.55, just under $850,000. These are, the next few items here are part of the strategic roadmap. These items are all adds. So this isn't something that's being taken away from the budget, but actually is being added to it. You'll see that the BAR program doesn't have a number attached to it. It's at 0. That's because it's being paid for through a grant. So it's initial cost, it's money in, money out type of a thing, but the money for the attendance program will be used within this, is my understanding. Preliminary adjustments, we have $240,000. Again, that's another add. This is our school within a school at the middle school level. Last year, we made some adjustments to our schedule in 6th grade that allowed us to try to create that true house model. And now we're rolling it into the 7th grade. So we're building with each year with the grades going up. Okay, so the following year, hopefully we'll be able to make it building wide as the 7th grade goes into 8th. School within a school, the first place that the money comes from for many of the classes is through compensatory. School within a school generates its own compensatory, and that's what you have to use it back towards. But at the same time, it's also generating ALC funding. So the additional FTEs that we're adding here are through the ALC. That's your restricted funds. Okay? Special education, TOSA, this is just realigning some caseload sizes. Again, it's not an additional cost, but because of the shifting in the caseloads, it's going to free up an FTE, one of the teachers, to support the due process and the supports needed within special ed. Secondary 2-mile walk. Right now, our secondary students walk 1.5 miles. We can go up to 2 miles. We're looking at an increase of 0.5 mile for roughly about 100 students that would be impacted with this, which could generate a savings of around $136,000. Students still could, if they wanted to, they could for an annual fee. It's fairly nominal, really, in light of the whole year, to still be picked up at a site if they wanted to. But this is one of those things where our buses, even with the most efficient routing, aren't always full. And on any given day at any of our parking lots, you'll know, families are picking up and dropping off anyway. So it's like we're providing a service that isn't necessarily maximized to our community here. Okay. Capital projects and repairs. This is one of those, typically we don't, this is one of the areas that can be used in long-term facility maintenance if you have an idea of predictability over time, and we're developing that predictability over time. Two of the areas would be like bathroom fixtures, and the other one is, I didn't realize this, but the amount of different pumps within the district for moving heating, water, just air, whatever, can range to replace a pump anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000, and on any given year, we're replacing nearly 50 of those throughout the district. We have aging buildings, we have aging mechanics. So just those two areas alone put us right up around $500,000. Long-term facility maintenance, as a reminder, is a restricted fund. So again, that would be built into our June approval process. When Dave comes to you with part of the 10-year plan, part of that will be, quite frankly, general replacements, which will have the $500,000 part of that. Revenue, we have two line items for revenue, both our athletic fleet fees and our VPK sliding fee structure. Athletics, when we look at our fee structure compared to both regional and other districts or other schools within our conference, we are in the lower, probably the lower third, especially for districts our size, as far as what we are charging. As transportation fees continue to increase, as referee costs continue to increase, we're asking that we have an adjustment to our revenue for those programs to allow us to be able to continue to pay those bills for our sports programs. Okay. The VPK sliding thing is, I want to make sure I explain this correctly. So VPK still has criteria to those who can participate in that with just no cost. For those who aren't eligible based upon the criteria that we are providing for the state, then there's a fee structure if you still want to participate in voluntary pre-kindergarten, okay? But if you have a fee structure, then the state also requires you to take into consideration household income so that you can waive fees based upon income levels if it's below a certain threshold. So we've taken like the balance of the families that aren't eligible for free VPK, then we've taken a look at, okay, so how many of them would not have to pay anything based upon that scale, and then how many that have household incomes over a certain point based upon that scale and paying the money in. That's where we come up with roughly $90,000 of revenue, okay? And this, we've 0.6 of the students are reimbursed for their time if they're eligible for VPK. So our criteria actually for the fee structure is no more than 0.4 for the cost. Okay, so we kind of rounded out the opposite direction to a 1.0. So it's not like the amounts are exuberant, and it is based upon income for households. Okay. Student Services Account Specialist, this is another one of those accounting things. This is paid for through third-party billing. So that also has very limited areas that can be used for. So we're eliminating the position in special ed. We will pick that up in the finance area to continue the work that is done there, and then we'll offset the finance folks with a portion of the third-party billing. So we are eliminating a position, recoding to the restricted area for the work in which our finance people are focused on the special ed reporting, and the savings will be about $130,000 there. Media EAs. This one's a little bit, we're not adding 2 FTEs, but we have 8 buildings. We're looking at adding 2 hours to 8 individuals, which comes out to 2 FTEs. But if you'll notice, the amount isn't that great. It's $72,000. The reason is because we're not calculating in 2 more people with benefits. We're just adding 2 hours to folks who already have benefits. So we only have to look at their hourly wage and what would 2 more hours look like. Now, one of the things in working with Rachel on this is this will help the efficiency both within, well, primarily within technology for kind of collecting and distributing back the resources. So a building has a need, or a teacher has a need, my computer isn't working well, they'll take it, they'll give it to the media EA at the elementary level. That way, when the media or the tech person comes to the site, they're not trying to hunt down the device. They have a central place to pick it up. They can also drop it off. That way, when the teacher is ready to get it, we're not trying to coordinate schedules. It's like, oh, I was on prep, or oh, I wasn't there yesterday, or everybody knows where they're going to go. And it may not necessarily be 2 hours over the entire year. We have really intense times at the beginning of the year where we're distributing devices and getting everybody set up, and we have intense times at the end of the year. So some of this may just be targeted as to, on an hourly basis, hey, we need you to work 10 more hours this week. You know, and so it can be a little bit more targeted in that way. Because not everybody is also excited about adding 2 hours to their work schedule, because some people like working in that middle part of the day, so they can drop kids off and be back for the kids at the end of the day. So flexibility within that. I think I got through everything there. Again, the total list, for those who are viewing, they can click the link for the complete list and see it and read through it at their leisure. On this page, as I stated at the beginning of the thing, we are making about $2.3 million in adjustments, coming in with a unassigned fund balance of 18.15%, with reductions of close to $9.4 million of spend down, plus the adjustments of the 2.3. Okay. So again, when we talked to last go around, it was a little over $11 million if we went to that far side of spending down the fund balance. And we're close to the 18% threshold here. And next steps, starting tomorrow, we will open up again our online feedback. We will provide the presentations that will go out to the buildings. Principals can share with their staff. We will have parent meetings, and then we'll have a community meeting in about mid-April. To get feedback on these, and then we'll come back to the board with the feedback that we've received, kind of get your final input at that point, and then the finance department will start working on getting a proposed budget for a work session, the first board meeting in June.
And then one final comment, you saw that we did have some reductions, but some increases. So I have abstracts from various schools and departments, and I think there's a request, Dr. Belmont can correct me, about 25 additional licensed staff. So with the uncertainty with our local and with the federal government at this point, I cannot bring that forward. I know it will be disappointing for some staff, and I think you heard earlier in the school presentations the need. So hopefully we'll see what happens at legislature, and so I may be coming back. Either way, no, we cannot add at this time. So that's really tough. So they made some really good rationale, but to add 25 more licensed staff with the uncertainty, so I just wanted to share that. Yeah, questions? Stacy,
I'm calculating what that would be equivalent to, so that's all.
one other point I wanted to make, Stacy, what's our cross subsidy for special education and EL? What's
I
the
don't know.
amount? 10?
Off the top of my head, I
About
don't know.
10.5, 11 million, and that's our deficit. So once again, that advocacy, we have it on the platform, the cross subsidy. So we are dealing with the dollars that we are allocated. So I just found that coincidental. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions,
The-
feedback?
The 2.1 in compensatory, that was part of the 11 million. So knowing at the Hill, there are active bills right now to address compensatory. And so if for any reason that would shift, what would look different in the budget?
Instead of it being around 8% for unassigned, you would jump up to probably around 19.5 to 20% unassigned. If we made no other adjustments, that would just be an additional revenue.
And you
But
could
based upon the
give us
reductions
direction.
that we're bringing to you, your unassigned would just go up.
And then you can give me direction
Okay.
about what you want to do. And so it is in the governor's budget. It's causing a little controversy. There are winners and losers. And as a superintendent, I hate to have any winners and losers. But in the governor's budget, it would restore that 2 million. But of course, they're losers too. So we'll see what happens at the legislature.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I have a couple of questions. So I think it's the revenue and expense changes slide 9, I think. I've used this as a talking point many times over the last year, so I just want to see if what I'm seeing here is the same talking point as last year, which it seems like it is. So the inflationary increase is 2.74%, which is a total increase of $519,000. And then there's a 5% insurance increase, that's 1.1 million. So the insurance increase is about double the increase from the general fund. Okay. And is that just health insurance, or does that also include like liability insurance, or?
No, that's just the medical.
That's just the medical, okay, that's what I thought.
No, that does not include liability.
Okay, that was my assumption. So that's just, I think, worth noting, that that one line item is double the increase we're getting from the state.
One more thing to point out, the $500,000 reflects the decline in the enrollment.
Sure. So that could always change depending on how enrollment shakes out.
Yep.
Yes. And then, so the busing proposal to increase the walking distance for 2 miles, that was only for secondary students, I think it said. And do we know what the limit to the walking range is for comparably sized districts or neighboring districts? Do we have any sense? I know we talked about it with the athletic fees. I'm curious if we know about with the walking. Just seems like a long way to walk each way every day.
Yeah, that would be difficult because just depending on the region. I mean, 2 miles of walking in Lakeville is not the equivalent of 2 miles walking on city streets or blocks.
Good point.
So, I mean, I can
Some
look into
suburbs
that
have
a
more
little bit.
sidewalks than others, you're right.
Right.
And the state law
Is 2 miles.
2 miles, so we're going up to
So we'd be at the
state law.
maximum of the state law.
Yep.
In the secondary specifically, high school 9 through 12, or does that include middle school?
Middle school as well, is what we looked at.
And at this point, we have families basically enroll their students at the beginning of the year for busing.
We ask them to identify whether they want busing, and if they're within that 1.5 miles, we automatically will provide that then. It just helps us to be more efficient in our routing, so we do ask for that.
Got it. So then, a student could be within the 1.5 miles and the parents don't opt in, and so one less body on the bus.
As far as our routing.
As far as the routing?
Yep.
Okay.
And that isn't a fixed in time type of a thing. I mean, if conditions change and that student or that family needs busing, they can contact us, John, and they'll let them know, here's your closest bus stop and here's the time the bus is there and what bus to catch.
And would the fee that families would pay, that would fall under educational benefits as well?
I would have to check into that.
Okay.
I was wondering the same.
Yeah, as far as whether something like that can be waived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Scott.
Did you say what the
It's about
fee would
$400
potentially
a
be?
year.
400?
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's pretty, okay.
My neighboring district is 500.
Yeah.
Because I did ask in my research.
I think it would be helpful to know if it falls under free and reduced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that would be one of those things, again, where we would have to go back and folks would actually have to fill out the educational benefit forms.
Right.
Which is becoming more and more difficult because it's like, well, I'm already qualified or I'm already getting the free. And now it's like.
This is a good reason to do it if you're.
Yes.
If you're not doing it and you would be eligible.
Right.
Similarly, my last question is around athletic fees, and those are covered under educational benefits,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
so that
Yep.
increase for students and families who would be eligible, those would still fall under that,
Yes.
even with the increase.
Yep.
And just a note about the equipment increases. So every 5 years, you must replace the football helmets, and they're getting more and more modernized for safety and more expensive. And then I have to ask Kevin Kleiner where we are with the guards for the hockey players. Yeah, we may be required.
These are questions I did not come prepared for.
Yeah, that's why I said Kevin Kleiner. But Chris, I don't know if you know, if they pass that with all the hockey players, that piece of equipment. So it's always better equipment, safety of kids when it comes to that equipment.
Right.
And it's just the prices in general.
Yep.
Yep. Oh.
Those are all the questions I had.
I just had one clarify. You covered just about everything that I was going
Same wavelength.
Yep, exactly. And we're still on the right slide. So just kind of like Scott did, call out the insurance item. We have 2.5% increase to the salary schedules across the board baked into this. Just calling that out too.
Yep. Yeah, just as far as building our budget. The one thing I will want to point out, going the wrong direction. Yeah, it's not on here. It must have been the presentation last night. There is an increase, we do anticipate an increase for our medical insurance, but part of that increase always builds into our reserve. So at the end of the fiscal year, you'll probably be looking at somewhere between $10 to $10.5 million in the reserve, which is still district money. So, part of the overall budget with this, it's like, yep, we're paying for the doctor visits, we're paying for the third-party administration, we're paying for stop loss, but whatever doesn't go there, and one of the benefits of self-funded is then the employer gets to recoup and hold on to the rest of that money and use it as a reserve for run-out. Our run-out is almost close to 6 months is what we have as our minimum.
And I think also it's fair, just as part of the budget conversation, that as a district, we all can help manage those health insurance costs, and whatever we can do as a district to help staff understand how to better use their health care benefits. It benefits us all financially.
And that's why the union members get together every month in our benefits committee. Part of that is education, reviewing, here's where our claims are, what are different strategies that we may be able to use, where are folks going most often. Biggest, it's simple little stuff, and instead of going to certain corner retail areas, there are different, more less expensive alternatives for pharmacy. Little things like that can help as well. Yep.
Anything else? No? Okay.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay.
It is now time to move on to our discussion on the vote of non-concurrence response. Planning. Director of Educational Equity, Isis Buchanan, and Superintendent Battle will start off the discussion by outlining planning so far.
Chair Ward, Dr. Battle, and members of the board. So we've started to look at each recommendation and think about actions that we can take as a district. Do you want me to go through them all now? Okay. So recommendation 1 was in regards to reviewing disciplinary actions for our middle school American Indian students. And so part of our plan is we already have a data wall established in our EduClimber system. And so making sure that we're taking the time to share that data with site administrators as well as their school teachers and their teams to look for ways we could improve outcomes for American Indian students there. And then also continuing to build on the professional development training that we've been doing to help inform, staff and in partnership with our families so that staff are aware of things that they could do to help support students at school. And I guess it sort of links to the non-exclusionary ways. Recommendation number 2 is about just ensuring that the recognition that we have for the Indigenous Peoples Day as well as other observances are really sort of things that are owned by all the sites in our district and so one of the things that we have in our plan is to review our lessons for Indigenous Peoples Day. And this is also work that we may do in partnership with Lakeville as our achievement and integration partner because they're doing the same work. But taking time as we end this school year and during the summer to make updates to those lessons with feedback from the teachers, as well as our collaboration with other people in the community who support, Native learning for students to ensure that the lessons and things that we're doing are sound and representative in a professional and respectful way for everyone. We also will work to develop a communication plan to share the lesson plan information. So this year we trained administrators and then they did training with their staff. And so just looking to have this all taken care of so that during opening week, we could also have training for teachers during that time so that they have that time and then they could have additional times with their site meetings in order to review the information, and also just building some of our supports of how we list and share information about some of the other cultural heritage events that take place that are in honor of our Indigenous community. Recommendation number 3 was about the salaries for our staff members. And so there's 2 staff members on our team, our cultural specialist, which is an open position right now, and then our cultural liaison. And so as part of our budgeting process now that we're looking at, we're really looking at the budgets and the funds that are used to pay for those specialists. And right now, the cultural specialist is paid 100% out of our achievement and integration. And part of our cultural liaison is paid out of A&I as well. But there is a portion of it that is paid out of that grant. And right now, it's just looking into that, but we're in compliance of, they have a rule of less than 50% can be, up to 50% can be used for that. And so we're under that amount as well as of right now. Recommendation number 4, regarding providing cultural space and staffing for smudging space in each building. And so we've already reviewed the policy and made those adjustments there. Part of the things that we seek to do is get further clarification from the APAC members to just learn about the space and the smudging. Right now, it's my understanding that you could really smudge in any space in our buildings, but if we need to develop a plan to come up with, is there a centralized place that has some cultural objects there or resources there, and having some consistency across the districts where we all know where those spaces are, so that staff that are trained at each site are just that we're keeping track of that, and that we're taking the time to educate someone at every school site about the smudging process and how they can do that. And then recommendation number 5 was about providing cultural trunks for each school's, for staff to use at each school site. And so this would be a huge project. And so right now the plan is to create, if we were to create the cultural trunks, we would have to identify and work with APAC to know what resources and materials and trainings and things like that would be needed for us to create the cultural trunks. And then also review the budgetary cost of items and establish a timeline for how we might roll that out. This would also include some coordination with our CISA teaching and learning team, because with the new Minnesota State Standards and the ethnic studies strand that's within there, we also want to make sure that we're aligning so that the trunks have things that are different from, pre-K to 12, if we were to develop them, and that students aren't getting the same thing over and over. We are looking into some grant opportunities because there's a grant that's out right now that this trunk idea would be a great fit for, and so we're just trying to find we need to have a specific type of partner in the Native community, and so we're sort of working on finding out more about how we could get money to help us work through it. Are there any questions or comments or things that you feel you want us to look further into?
I think this is a really thorough and clear response to their requests, and I think it shows the positive intent that we discussed together with the APAC families, and a path to progress. So thank you.
So we'll bring it back for your approval at the next meeting. Just share a little bit about the documentation. So we did submit.
Yep, so all
those
the annual
parts.
compliance documents were sent to MDE in regards to the vote of non-concurrence. And then also, they sent confirmation letting us know that they received that and everything is fine. And so now our next steps is similar to last year, where that formal response will come and all board members will be able to review and sign off on that.
Mm-hmm.
I will put one more plug in. The MIEA conference is next week. Mystic Lake. I know some of our APAC family members may be watching from home. And so just if you're able to get there, there will be some awesome things going on that really connect to our community here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next item to discuss in our work session is to review the board and superintendent communication practices.
Where's my copy? Okay. She's gonna go. Hi. No.
Okay, so I think just to recap, we had discussed at Dr. Battle's review how we wanted to kind of review this process and make updates to it. I think specifically to how communications are done regarding things where we need to update all the board members on certain items, whether it be in one-on-ones or through weekly updates. And I know that, let's see, I'm trying to think. Just scroll down here.
Regular communication.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Where is it?
It's after
Oh, is it?
roles and responsibilities.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just maybe read through all of these and the descriptions, and then we can discuss it further. So, regular communications, weekly email, the superintendent will provide a weekly update to board members via email. The weekly update will include issues selected by the superintendent as important, updates requested by the board, and information from members of the superintendent's leadership team. Board members are expected to check emails in a timely manner. The executive assistant to the superintendent will provide a weekly update for calendar invites and events to board members. One-on-one meetings, the superintendent will meet regularly with individual board members to provide information, hear and answer questions or concerns, and conduct business. Setting agendas or scheduling meetings as needed. At the superintendent's direction, she will send a follow-up email to all board members as a response to specific request questions. The board chair and superintendent may schedule work sessions for the board where topics of particular importance can be presented and discussed in depth. In general, staff participation at these meetings will be limited to presenting information and answering questions. Regular board meetings, as scheduled by the board each year, the board will hold regular meetings for conducting district business and receiving information reports. Agendas will be set by the superintendent, board chair, and vice chair. Documents for board meetings will be available to board members per policy. Board members will be asked to submit questions about materials in advance so they can be answered before the meeting. Board members may still choose to ask their questions at the meeting if they feel there is a benefit to the answer being shared in a public forum. So I guess, I mean, my thought is there are questions that sometimes come up. I'm sorry, I'm just reading this over again. So it says, there are questions that come up. The superintendent, at the superintendent's direction, she will send a follow-up email to all board members as a response to specific requests, questions. So I'm thinking, and when it arises that a board member has a question that that pertains to something that all board members would probably want to know, then is what I'm understanding from what this says, that the superintendent would then send an email out answering that board member's question and sending it to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
And that has happened.
Okay. All right, because I think what happened was there was the instance where I had asked a question and then it was appearing on one-on-one agendas with, and that was confusing.
Yeah, so the one-to-one meetings, that's where I've been putting them. So it wasn't always an email. Sometimes it's an email. So I think that's the clarification I need. Do you want the email or do you want to wait to the one-to-one? Yeah, I can send the same information.
I think the superintendent should have flexibility to make that decision, because if I just had my one-on-one with you yesterday, I don't want to wait a month for whatever update you want to share. So, there's that also that I think plays into it, and some things are going to be more time sensitive than others, frankly.
Okay.
I also think being mindful of topics that more readily lend themselves as work sessions versus one-on-one conversations. That's kind of where my mind went with this, that if we added some sort of verbiage of, particularly since we're a new board with one new member joining us at the end of the month, just adding something under communications, under the regular communication, saying, something to the effect that, where there are topics, the weekly reports and the one-on-ones are designed to be informational, right? Kind of news flashes. Anything that goes deeper than that, where, and Dr. Battle, you would recognize this in your conversations with us individually, that, this might actually be better as a work session because it's a meatier topic. That's not in here, and that's just something I would.
And even then, it's going to be a judgment call in a lot of cases, that Superintendent A may see it as being totally fine to do in one-on-ones, and Superintendent B might say, oh, this is more of a work session, so.
Yeah, and that's where
even
checking.
then, there's still going to be
completely.
room for interpretation.
And I would say that where there's a question, checking in with officers saying, hey, I'm hearing that, this is coming up or this has come up, I think it should be a work session, right? Or something like that.
So in our standing agenda for one-to-ones, there is a section that says possible workshop topics. So maybe I should make sure, if I think it's something in depth, to put it in there. And then when we meet in officers, add it to our agenda.
That's a good idea.
Yep, no, that's
That
good.
help?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
I'd also think that if it's meatier where it's something that would lead to a board decision or a request for a decision. Yes, I also think of some of the trainings we've had with MSBA though too, because sometimes we might have a personal interest in something with a question that might not actually be what we as a board need as a whole. And so knowing, and to be able to know that differentiation, too, is like, is that just, one, for us as individual members to be trying to be mindful of, is this something that is just, kind of me wanting to know more, and it's really not pertaining to necessarily the whole role or the board's responsibility, or.
Sure.
Yep, no, I completely agree. And taking ownership, right, where individually we know that we have our own questions. Is this something that I need to bring up with Dr. Battle to say, hey, is this just me, or is this a work session?
Right. Does that mean we need to have a change in this document at all? I mean, I just didn't know what our next steps were.
Well, Dr. Battle kind of hinted to, she was gonna, if there was topics that she deemed that maybe we should put in a workshop, it would go on that section in the agenda or of the 101s.
On the ones.
Yeah.
And then the officers, I'll follow up.
Yep.
These are what I
Yep.
gleaned.
Yep.
And determine if it should be a work session.
Mhm.
None of your questions are fluff, but some are deep questions that require more information. Yeah. Mhm. And you're funny, something you say, I'm just curious.
Let me get my pen out. Yeah, I don't think we need to, I don't know what the others think, but I don't know that we need to change it.
I think the phrase, at her discretion,
Uh-huh.
kind of implies that.
Mhm.
There's just
Okay.
needed clarification.
Mhm.
Yep.
Else?
I think that settles it then.
Okay. Good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. The time is now 9:20, and having no further agenda items, I now call to adjourn this meeting of the Board of Education.
Thank you.
Thank you.